Pochettino has USA playing at their best, better than they've ever played before. The secret to his entire World Cup system comes down to just 3 players. It's these 3 players who allow US to dictate the game, forcing the opponent to abandon their own game plan and play it right into USA's hands. But how can 3 players make that happen? To understand that, we first have to look at the system Pochettino has built around them. So let's dive right in. At its core, Pochettino wants a very aggressive attacking system. He has tried different variations up top, like playing with 2 forwards when Pulisic was out with injury, or his preferred formation of 1 striker with Pulisic on the left and Dest on the right. Regardless, it always ends in a hyper-aggressive attacking shape. To make this possible, he wants the left back to go up on the left, while Dest is tasked with taking care of the right. In the middle, Adam shields the back 3, freeing up McKennie and Tillman to advance up as USA commits to all-out attack. This philosophy first allowed USA to dismantle Paraguay, a fiercely defensive team that was regarded as one of the best defenses in South America, who conceded only 10 goals in their previous 18 matches. And then Australia, a team who played 5 at the back and defeated Turkey 2-0 with just 28% of the possession. So basically, Pochettino outplayed a defensive team who played 4-3-3, and then another defensive team who played 5-4-1, while using different variations up top, sometimes having 2 strikers and sometimes having 2 wingers and 1 striker. Every single time, USA managed to be in complete control, denying the opposition from taking advantage of USA's weaknesses. This is because the attacking shape isn't just about scoring, it's actually a defensive trap. Because the US push so many players up the pitch, they become perfectly positioned to launch a suffocating counterpress the exact second they lose possession. This completely destroys any defensive team's game plan. Their only offensive strategy is to sit deep and hit on the counterattack, but Pochettino's defensive trap makes that extremely difficult. The second US loses the ball, they counterpress instantly, forcing the opponent to surrender it right back. It is a system built for total, absolute dominance. But this wouldn't be possible without those 3 players we talked about earlier. And actually, it has more to do with the roles Pochettino has given them than it is about the players themselves. So, before we go over what the 3 roles are and how they work, let's see who those 3 players are. They are McKennie, Tillman, and Robinson. So, 2 midfielders and 1 fullback. Tillman and McKennie's role are intertwined in a very interesting way. We'll cover that in detail after going over the fullback's role, as that directly sets up both Tillman and McKennie. The fullback, Robinson, is tasked with overloading the left flank if USA are playing with a left winger, or just taking care of the left flank by himself if there is no winger on the left. The goal is to allow the rest of the attack to focus all their efforts towards the half spaces in the center. This is also why Dest is tasked with taking care of the right wing. But there's another reason. With Robinson on the left, Dest on the right, and Balogun staying up top, the opposition defense and midfield already have USA players they need to worry about. And this is where Tillman and McKennie's roles come in. McKennie goes just in behind the opponent's midfield line, while Tillman stays just in front of it. This forces their center midfielders to choose who to mark while leaving everyone else open. Basically, Pochettino made it so that the opponent's 2 center midfielders always had to worry about 3 USA players. In this instance, Paraguay's left center midfielder worries about McKennie and Tillman, while the right center midfielder worries about Pulisic and Tillman, allowing US to always find a man available, as Paraguay's center midfielders were always outnumbered. US essentially forced Paraguay to focus on way too much at one time. So either Paraguay allowed USA to use the space inside or out wide. All this allows USA to constantly create chances, no matter what the opposition does. and at the same time, completely eliminate the opponent's ability to use their offensive tactics. This is why Pochettino's USA have been so dominant since the start. With Pulisic on the pitch, USA is definitely the strongest when attacking from the left. However, with McKennie and Tillman's roles, the right half space also becomes just as dangerous. Pochettino has proved that USA doesn't need individual brilliance to set them apart. The tactics do it just fine. However, it does elevate the whole game plan. With that in mind, Pochettino wants Pulisic around the left half space, because then USA can turn the left half space into another dangerous attacking vector. On top of having Pulisic link up with Tillman and McKennie, Pulisic is tasked with making runs in behind as soon as Robinson drags the opponent's right back out wide. And since Pochettino's tactics transform USA's whole left side and the right half space into their strongest areas to attack from, the opponent naturally shifts inside to cover those areas more diligently. However, this ends up creating more space for Dest and McKennie on the right, allowing USA to advance using the right flank if the opponent closes down other areas, ensuring that no matter what the opponent does, they become incapable of stopping the onslaught. There are a few weaknesses though, which will be targeted by other teams in the future. So let's go over them so you can get the full picture on Pochettino's USA. The biggest one is that they have a 38-year-old defender who usually ends up being the last line of defense. USA's future opponents will definitely try to exploit his lack of pace and use that to get in behind, which is why every US player up top has to counterpress as intensely as they can in order to make sure Tim Ream does not end up in a 1v1 while being the last line of defense, even if they have to commit tactical fouls and get a yellow for it. The other weakness is how much effort this style of play requires. If USA's fitness levels are not as high as they need to be, the counterpress won't be as effective, the attacks won't be as effective, and the opposition will essentially have a much easier time playing through USA. However, Pochettino knows these weaknesses better than anyone else. He understands Tim Ream's lack of pace will be targeted, so he always has Adam stay just in front while the other center back always stays nearby. And regarding the fitness levels, Pochettino has managed the likes of PSG, Chelsea, and Tottenham in the past, even taking Spurs all the way to the Champions League final back in 2019. So, having had tremendous experience managing year-long seasons in the past, Pochettino knows exactly what to do and when, which is why this World Cup is USA's best chance to finally etch their name in football history. What do you think about Pochettino's tactics? And how far do you think USA will make it in this World Cup? I'm curious to know what you think, so let me know in the comments down below. If you're a creator or run a local business and are drowning in back-end work, let NextGen Business Solutions handle the chaos. They're doing a massive discount for my viewers this month. So click the link in description, book a free call, and use the code TACTICS for 20% off. I'll see you in the next one.